Welcome to Holistic Health and Healing, a show offering solutions for the body, being, and beyond. In each episode, we discuss topics that empower you to take a holistic approach to step into your unique voice in this world. Now, here are your hosts, Dr. K and Hank Setala, the Sonic Shaman.
Good morning, everyone. Today is such a great topic. It is energy flows where your attention goes. And this is something to be mindful of all throughout your day with everything that you do. And I had an experience just this morning of it. So I'm getting ready for the stream, and we're kind of a late morning because my son had a thing at like a school program. And I go to my wife, I'm like, man, I wish I just had like an extra 10 minutes so I didn't have to feel rushed or anything. So then we're getting ready to go live. And I'm realizing, where's my camera and my microphone? I have no clue. And I'm thinking I must have forgot it at the center somehow and forgot. So I have Dr. K, I'm like, we got to bump the stream 10 minutes so that I can go up to the center and everything. And then as soon as I did that, I found everything. And then I got my extra 10 minutes. So was it really even me stating that to the universe? I said it out loud, and all of a sudden I had my extra 10 minutes to enjoy my cup of coffee. So energy flows where your attention goes. And if you're not consciously paying attention to that, what are you creating in your world?
Yeah, what Hank didn't tell me was that he wanted his coffee, so he lied to me, and just kidding. He wanted to have his coffee.
But it's a great example of how that works, like just in real time, and it was like so perfectly placed for our stream today.
It happens to me all the time. Things just kind of work out. So another way of stating this, energy goes where your attention, or energy flows where your attention goes. What are your predominant thoughts all day long? This is where you want to catch yourself. Set a little timer on the hour. Check set a little timer on your phone or your, the little things they have on your watches and Apple watches. Set a timer and check what your predominant thoughts are all day long. What you're thinking about constantly, you are starting to create more of. So if you're in a constant state of worrying about, your job or what's going to happen with your whatever, if you're constantly thinking about that, you are creating more of that. So you want to stop, pivot, and change that. If you're in a state of anger all the time, because we do that, it becomes unconscious almost. We just run with it, and we're constantly thinking about what is like the theme of your day. Wherever you're thinking these things over and over and over, you are starting to create more of that in your external environment. And sometimes we're not even aware of that. That awareness is key. That's where you have to start. We're not even aware sometimes, like, we get stuck in traffic but what are you thinking constantly? If you're constantly thinking or somebody cuts you off, all these things like happen over and over, and we just think somebody cut us off. But if you've been angry all morning, it's very possible you are creating a situation where more people are cutting you off, or somebody pisses you off at work, or, so be careful.
Yeah, when I used to work part-time at Equity Trust, there was somebody that was always late, and they actually would reinforce that. They're like, man, I'm always late. Man, I'm always late. And what if like focusing on what you don't want to show up is actually empowering what you don't want to show up, and instead take a break, like, this really isn't working in my reality. What could I do to create something different? What could I be to create something different? And then you're not feeding the thing showing up that you don't want to show up anymore. And it's really a discipline type of thing that you have to be so mindful throughout the day on everything. And there's an app from Access, though it's intended for asking, who does this belong to? But it's a great app because you can set their little reminders every 15 minutes, every hour, every 3 minutes or whatnot. And every time that little ding happens, I'm like, well, where is my energy flowing right now? And always make sure it's something that is going to create more possibilities for yourself and for everyone else involved.
Exactly. So you can choose your vibration and what you're vibrating at. And what do I mean by that? I mean, the best way to equate that is, how are you feeling? If you're feeling down, constricted, low, depressed, angry, frustrated, that's where you're vibrating at. So it's kind of like a little physics thing. That's kind of like the energy you're putting out. And when you're in that state, it's very difficult to bring in what you want. So you get to choose your vibration. You don't have to stay in that state. You get to choose how you feel. And what's the best way to do that? The best way I do that is stop. It's like when there's a fire, stop, drop, and roll. But what you really want to do is stop, drop and just look. I choose gratitude. I'll look at a tree and say, what a beautiful tree this is. Look at this flower. How amazing. You'll automatically shift your way of thinking. Spend about 17 seconds there and you'll start to create a new vibration. So I usually run into gratitude all the time. I'll find gratitude is one of the highest vibratory emotions. It just automatically lifts you up, because when you're grateful for something or something's really cool, you just start feeling better inside, and then that's what you're emanating out. So every time you're having some poopy thoughts, as I call them, get yourself out of those thoughts, because the more you think about it, it's like that pulley that just rolls. You're going to start creating more of that in your world, whatever that is: frustration, anger, resentment, depression. You're reinforcing that situation, that thought, and we do not want to reinforce that thought, because it will start creating itself.
And so far, we've talked about just what's happening in your head. What also tends to happen is when people get together, have you ever heard people arguing about who has it worse? And like, where is your energy flowing then? It's like, well, this happened to me. Well, you think that's bad. This happened to me. And people are actually cementing in and reinforcing everything in their life that they really don't want to focus on. And that is like a huge, huge thing, especially when you're in a group of people and there's like this collective energy around it. You don't want other people feeling, what's bad for you too. So it's really like there's a saying in Access, just for me, just for fun, never tell anyone. Same thing with that. Like if something isn't showing up that you want to show up, don't share it with people and reinforce it. Like really focus on what could I do and be to change this. And we have a couple people saying good morning. We have Debbie saying good morning, and Becca. Good morning, Becca. Thank you so much for joining us. And if you guys have questions or comments or anything about this topic, please make them. We're happy to cater some of the conversation to what's going on in your world. But truly, it is really being as present as you can in every moment so that you can be there to make the choice. Because a lot of the stuff that we're talking about is happening unconsciously because people are autopiloting through life. Yeah. And if you were present in that moment, you would make a different choice. But autopilot is just driving throughout your day. And unless someone tries to cut you off and it says, I can't handle this shit, and you jump in the driver's seat, flick the people off, and then start, letting the autopilot go on again. That's what's happening. The little autopilot is reacting through life for you. And what would it take for you to be fully present and start choosing the things and feeding the things that you really would like to show up instead of unconsciously not choosing?
Yeah, it's always a choice. First, number one thing to do is gain awareness. And that's a practice thing. Catching yourself, slowing down. Okay, what am I thinking? How am I feeling in this moment? Then number two, pivoting out of that, making a different choice, looking at the sun, looking at the flowers, having a different thought, change that thought pattern immediately, taking about 17 seconds to think of something better, higher, more vibrant, and then you'll create more of those thoughts. The other thing people do a lot is talk about their woes. Avoid talking about your woes and your worries and how life sucks, and because you are creating more of that, you're reinforcing that. Find the good in your life, because there's always something good. Always. It might be really, really small, but there's always something good. So avoid speaking about.
And I assume, is this relative to what you were just talking about, Diane? I'm not sure what Mary Lee is contributing. Was that referencing something you were talking about? Well, you'll have to give me more context, Mary Lee. And I was distracted in the moment you were talking because Casey he got an email saying somebody tried to log into your Gmail account from Florida. And it was Dr. K. She's in Florida right now. So he's thinking that like the account that we used to log into the streaming platform was compromised. So I just texted him back, no, it's fake news. But
that was me.
It was you. So I apologize. I wasn't fully present because my attention was on Casey for a moment there.
That's true. I picked up on the IP address here from Florida, because the internet is here from Florida. That's why it didn't work. So it's a lot of people like to talk about their financial woes. I'm so in debt, I can't afford that. You're creating more of that. So the more you reinforce it, your thoughts and what you say, everything starts in the thought first, and then when you say it, it really manifests. It really starts to crystallize. Your words and your thoughts, super powerful. Yeah. Super, super powerful.
But there's also a saying, actions speak louder than words. Wait, is that it? Yeah, something like that. Yeah. And so here's the thing, like say you are struggling with weight and you're saying, what would it take for me to be skinny? What would it take for me to be a contribution to my body and have the body that I would prefer and whatnot? Yet your action is, I go through McDonald's drive-through or whatever, so like you have your thoughts, but being aligned, thought, word, and deed, all focused on the thing that you'd actually like to create, like going to the gym. And I'm looking at myself when I say that, because I don't go to the gym. That's something I need to tag along with Dr. K. Like, all right, what me in the
Heather and I are going to get you in. We're going to get you in the gym.
Heather too? Like Heather's gaining up on me? Oh, man.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, she runs like every day. So like, yeah, I probably should do something. The only exercise I do is the forklift, and I do it at least 3 times a day, just no. That's it. That's all I do. but I know I should. Oh, look at me shitting at myself.
Oh my
what energy
gosh.
could I be to have a different reality around my physique? So I could like win bodybuilder competitions like that. Okay, I don't know if I go that far, but
it's not for everybody. But that's the other point. I guess it's a side note, but a body has to stay in motion. It's insignia. Action is the insignia of life. So our bodies are not designed to really sit. And a lot of people just sit. And even at jobs when you're, like Intel, they make their people get up like every 45 minutes and move. We need to move. Our bodies are designed to move, and energy is designed to move. Energy doesn't sit still. So it really is important for everybody to exercise. It helps so much, not just on an energetic level, not just health-wise.
Yeah.
People who sit in stagnation and just don't move and just eat, it's harming you in more ways than one. So
yeah, even like something like yoga isn't typically as intense, and even they don't tell you have to do the pose exactly like the instructor. Even something like that, it's helping the energy flows in the body, meridian points and things of that nature to start the energy flowing. Because everything, when we have disease in shamanism, we believe that it started as heavy energy way outside the energy field, and as we don't pay attention to it, it works its way closer and closer and eventually becomes physical. And so like, what if it's an energetic thing that is causing whatever's showing up in your life, and just by moving, you're allowing the energy to start flowing, and then you might add the mental component into it with the positive thinking and actually choosing actions to get yourself into a different possibility. It all goes together. We talked, actually we had a stream of incongruent manifestation. It's really similar to that, where there's two axes, is that the word? You have body, mind, and spirit going this way, and then you have thought, word, and deed going this way. When both are aligned, that's where you really are creating with magnitude, because you're not just creating, I want a big screen TV to watch the Super Bowl. Like you're with your sole purpose, and then you're creating into the world, and all things are aligned, and you really start firing on all cylinders on.
Yeah, and the other thing they always talk about, exercise helps anxiety and depression, and it does. The reason, there's a little secret behind it. What happens energetically when you exercise, you get on an elliptical, you get on a bike, it actually pulls up the congested energy. So whatever is inside you that's kind of just really heavy, and it brings it closer to the surface. And so you're able to clean it out better. It's able to expel out of you faster and easier. And so I think that's why, even though there's all these scientific studies behind exercise helping depression and anxiety, this is the why. This is the why on it. Right. So it's important.
Yeah, in our society, though, we've created a service-based industry where everybody's like at desks all day and all these things. So it's kind of become the norm. But what would it take just to, like, I've gone to Germany to visit my in-laws, my wife's family, and all that. You have a meal, like lunch is the big meal of the day, and everybody goes for like this long walk afterwards. And you come home, and then you have coffee and cake, and then you have like a real light meal. And they don't have the same problems as we have in the States in terms of weight and other health factors, because they're actually moving. They have a balance between that. Not everyone. I mean, there's exceptions in every situation, but in general, like that's the way it operates there. And so they get to have their cake and eat it too, because they're always eating dessert. It's amazing. Because they go out for the walks. Oh yeah. Well, now it would be safe.
Completely different. Same thing in Italy. When I went there, people are walking, people are on scooters, it's different than here in America, where we sit with our remote and we eat food and consume all the pharmaceuticals.
Right. And then we focus on what we stress on, like whatever stressing is, like what we focus on, we're having pity parties. And there is well, I'll tell the acronym for this, or the acronym, this little story about, there's a guy who has this health app. I'll tell a story about that, about how all these other countries have all these things going on, but they have fewer heart attacks than Americans. But the idea of it, well, now I lost my thought, I think. Well, so let me tell the story instead. So there's this app, and he's going through, like, well, in Italy they have tons of pasta, drink tons of wine, and they have fewer heart attacks than Americans. In Japan they eat all these fish and the rice, they have fewer heart attacks than Americans. It goes through to Germany, they eat tons of sausage, drink tons of beer, have fewer heart attacks than Americans. And it goes through country after country after country. And then at the end it says, so moral of the story, eat whatever you want, speaking English apparently is what kills you. But really it's the mindset in America that it's like corporate efficiency. How do you get the most out of somebody and put the least into them? And have people so stressed about losing their job and things, and so focused on that it's like, hamsters on a wheel. And what would it take for you to break that paradigm and not focus on the stress, and really, what would I like my life to look like? What would I like to create my life like? And not focused on, I got to do this, or I'm going to lose my job, I'm going to lose my survival, because that's how we're trained to do, to get the most out of us. But would you ever say that to a kid? How can I get the most out of this child and put the least into it? We don't think that way. But in corporate world, we do, because that's the thing. You have to get the most bang for your buck, get the most productivity for the money that you're paying people.
Yeah, it's an interesting, our energy here in America is very different than it is in other countries.
Yeah. And in Germany, you get by law, you have to get at least 2 days off per month. So no matter what job you start, you're getting 24 days with unlimited sick time. If you have a doctor's note, no questions asked, you're just out. But here it's you have 2 weeks, and that includes your sick time if you're lucky, and nothing your first year. So we're really trained to hold the stress, and we have no decompression time. So no wonder we have a lot of these issues. We don't even give ourselves time to just sit with you, yourself, and your soul, which is one of the great gifts from COVID, is that people were just sitting by themselves, and we've seen this huge surge in people awakening and actually seeking and looking, that they don't know what there is, but they know there's something more. And then it's created this forward momentum for us to really start having a lot more potential and possibility in the kingdom of we.
Yeah, you can create anything. So are you choosing chaos, or are you choosing sanctuary? Because you do get to choose. And it all, again, it comes back to the level of awareness. So it's the first thing that I really emphasize on, taking the time to get aware, slowing down, taking the time to get aware, because so many people are not even aware of their thoughts and what they're focusing on all day long, and the stress and nonsense that's running through your head all day. And that's creating something out in your world. And very few are aware of that. No, I wouldn't say very few, but I think this is the concept I try to get to people. Really take the time to see what your predominant worry thoughts are all day long. Because there's usually a theme. There's usually something somebody worries about all day. I know I have something, lately. Is it your new job, you can't find a job, you're a family situation that you want resolved, and it culminates all over and over. Catching that and starting to pivot that into a different perception is going to be the key thing. That's I guess my 2 cents on that.
And just saying good morning to mysterious Facebook user. And I think I just figured out what Mary's comment was. I think she was tagging somebody, but it doesn't show us that it was a tag. So that's probably what that was. So I created my own confusion. Oh no.
Eek.
But everybody, if you have questions or comments, something specific around this, please comment. We love to take the conversation wherever you would like to go. And I just had a poof moment. Come back.
Dragon, poof the magic dragon.
It's happened to me twice today. That's okay though. It happens.
So yeah, energy's a weird thing in that. I think that's just important to really catch what you're thinking all day long. It's really, really important. What is your common theme? So do that. Maybe do that for a day, and put a little timer on your phone, a little alarm, and on the hour, what are you thinking about? Catch yourself. What were you thinking in that moment? And maybe it's just what's for dinner, or what am I going to do? But you'll start to see a theme, and maybe just take some time to reflect on what your worry is and start to pivot out of that. I'm looking for some quotes that I had, but I don't
Well,
find them.
one question from Axis that helps with that is whenever you find a theme of energy popping up in your world that you don't want to pop up anymore, ask what's right about this I'm not getting, or what is serving me about this showing up. So there's examples we've talked about in the past. I had a client with lupus, and every time she did want to do something, she just blamed it on her lupus. But she doesn't need a reason and justification to say no. But she was empowering her disease by saying all her no's were because of this. So like, where are you putting out a reason and justification for your choice instead of just being in your choice and empowering things to show up? Like, oh, I can't do that because I don't have enough money. You're empowering poverty. You're empowering scarcity instead of I just don't choose it. If I really wanted to choose that, like Magic Mike is a great example. When he chose Foundation, he signed up for it and he actualized the money to take it, which is a $1,600 access class. So he chose it and then he actualized it. But if he had to come to the conclusion, hey, I don't have enough money for that, it never would have happened. He would have stopped creating. So like, where are we using reasons and justifications and letting our energy flow into what we think we can't do instead as an infinite being know what we can do?
Yeah, that's a really good point. And I've done this many, many times where I've looked at something and said, I can't afford that. But I've learned to get beyond that, because here's a tricky thing that happens when you say yes and you're like, okay, I'm going to take a loan, or I'm going to put this on my credit card and I'll pay it off, or I'll ask a family member for some help, or however you want to do it. And you say yes to something. The beings of light actually help you if it's in your greatest and highest best. Now, I'm not talking about an $800 pair of shoes. I'm talking about like something for your highest. And even then, though, sometimes creating an opulent purchase, meaning something really amazing for yourself that raises your vibration, is good too. So don't always, a lot of people like, I can't, this shirt's $300. I'm not going to do it. But if you put it on and it makes you feel amazing, don't forget that shirt, those shoes they carry a vibration of that price tag, that value. So every now and then treat yourself to something. Yeah. But for courses and things, the universe aligns to what is in your highest and best. So the money always comes. And I laugh because I'm like, it will get paid for. How many things have you bought in your past that were really expensive that you kind of wanted, that weren't in your highest and best, but that was 5 years ago? And is it not paid for by now? Are you still here? Are you still standing in your home and you haven't gotten broke and you're not on the street, right? It got paid for. Is it going to take a couple of months? Maybe. But it's always worked for me that when I say yes to something, even though it might not be there at that point, the second I say yes, within a week, within a month, the funds arrive. They arrive all the time. So just keep going and say yes. Say yes to the things that will bring you to your highest and best. If it's something that's going to help you, say yes, because you will get provided for. We live in a friendly universe that is always providing for you. You're still here, right? You're not broke. You're not on the street.
There's one more component to that, though. You put out to the universe, yes, I'm choosing this. Then you also need to follow the energy and do your part. And I give the example, like, say you order the pizza, but you never open the door to receive it. So Dr. K was looking for what is coming up, and she was willing to receive that. But if you say, I'm going to choose that, and then you don't do your part, you don't pay attention throughout the day, and you missed, 8 possibilities that would have actualized what you were asking for. The universe, it wasn't that the universe didn't deliver. You just never opened the door to receive what you had ordered. And so, like, it's really important to do your part. And that's about staying present, not letting that little robot drive, and following the energy. We say in Access is that you've asked a question, and then as you go through your day, what matches the vibration of that question? And I give the example, what if Dr. K is in this putting out for create something, and she's at the store in this yellow dress or whatever your favorite color is, like, really speaks to your soul, and it matches. It doesn't make any sense, but it matches the vibration of a question. What if you buying that and wearing that then gets you noticed by somebody that has the conversation that opens up an investment opportunity, and so on? So that's how sometimes the universe works. If you're following the energy, it's like following little breadcrumbs, and one thing leads to another, and the next thing you know, you've actualized what it is that you put out, but you did your part.
Totally. And that's one of the quotes it's like that I wanted to say. If you are not at the level of vibration you desire, you will not see the opportunities that come before you too. So if you're at ho hum kind of life sucks vibration, there may be so many opportunities right around you to improve your life, but you'll miss them because number one, your awareness is somewhere different. And number two, they can't get to you because you're vibrating at a level of life sucks.
Yep.
So
I
life will
think
give you more of what sucks.
I think it was yesterday or one of the previous days when I was streaming with Heather. She gave the example. It's like an old tale of a guy. There's a flood coming in, and he tells God, "Save me," and like the water comes up to the first thing, and a little rowboat comes by. They're like, "Sir, get in, bring you to safety." He's like, "Nope, nope, God's gonna save me." And then the water goes up to the second floor. Speedboat comes by. "Jump in, sir. We'll save you." "Nope, nope, God's gonna save me." And then he's on the roof. A helicopter comes by. They throw a ladder down to him. "Sir, hop on. We'll bring you to safety." He's like, "Nope, God's going to save me." And then the guy drowns. And when he goes up, he says, "God, what's up? I asked you to save me." And he's like, "I sent you 2 boats and a helicopter. What else could I do? You didn't receive it." And so like that's just another example. Like things can be in your face or they could be subtle, but the willingness to be present and receive it. But we're also taught not to receive kindness or not to receive from people because we have this idea that if I receive something, it then obligates me to reciprocate. And true kindness doesn't have attachments to it.
Yeah.
And so if they have an obligation tied to it, that's not your business. Receive. It's up to you to be kind when it's right to be kind. But this kindness out of obligation, that's a duality concept. For every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction, where in true kindness, it's just you're already an Eine, because in a way you're gifting to yourself because we're all one. And if you can be in the state of receiving that, that's where you can really start being in the flow and potentialize everything that you're looking to create for yourself.
Yeah, that's a lot of undeservingness. And
yeah,
I learned that as a kid, like, no, don't no, it's not polite. It's not polite to accept help.
Oh, and weren't you raised Catholic? I think, if I remember right. Isn't there like a whole thing? And then in like Lutheran too, we have like the Nicene Creed, and I think there's stuff in there like "I'm not worthy" or something to receive, and like all this stuff like is indoctrinated from such a young age, and probably well intended. However, that stuff is what we call boys. These are these nucleated spheres, these flows of energy that are coming to us from way early in childhood that we might not even have an exact memory of. But the core belief is there that, hey, I'm unworthy, therefore I'm not willing to receive. Therefore, it's not right for me to have money, because the true power is in being poor, or all this stuff. And to get to those things, to be conscious of, like when you're focusing on what's stressful in your world or not show up, if you really start sitting with it, well, where is the original wound of this? Where did this come from? Is this even mine? And then all of a sudden you remember, oh, in church they said this, and start to reframe the paradigms that you were brought up with to things that are going to create possibility. Because in an infinite world, in an infinite universe, is there anything that would be off limits? And nobody's more divine than another. We're all sparks of divinity. So where does the unworthiness come from? It's all illusion stuff so that we can have this duality experience. But you can break through the paradigm.
You can. There's 3 or 4 common themes that I see a lot, and I've held it too. It's just kind of things I was brought up with was undeservingness, lack mentality, not enoughness. Those are 3 very common things that ride underneath stuff. So if you're not getting what you want, you got to see if one of those 3 is riding underneath.
we have to do a stream on the 10 illusions. Like we burned it up in so many little episodes that like
I'm putting that on my list right now.
So if anybody wants, maybe I'll make a little book club or something out of it. So like there's a book called Communion with God. And when we're talking about God in the sense of Neil Donald Walsh, he was raised Christian, so he makes a lot of Christian references, but it's really like source energy, universe energy, life energy. It's not talking about like the little guy in the clouds that beams lightning bolts down or anything like that. So it's called Communion with God. And the whole idea is that for all this to exist, the first illusion, ignorance, exists. You have to be unwilling to perceive, know, be, and receive something about the way it really works in order for all of this to start to unfold in the way that we use it as a contextual field to know things experientially. Then so it goes through the illusions. Ignorance exists, and scarcity exists, and condemnation exists. All illusions to hold up the way that all of this field of living energy works for us to experience things. It's a phenomenal book. So if you want to pick it up, I'll grab a link for it and post it. We will both read it. Maybe I'll make a book club and I'll post it. Like we can read it in a private Zoom, and then we'll do a stream on some of the concepts. That sounds like a fun plan. So
Religion indoctrinates a lot of things, and I can tell you we're like going sideways under religion. But for the longest time, I thought God was punishing me. I thought God must really hate me, really hate me. And then I forget what I signed up for something, and when I realized that God is within us all, are we the big God? We're a spark. We are a spark, but that spark can expand the more you feed it with positive things and changing your light and doing all these things that we talk about. There's a lot of light beings around you ready to help you too. So when we feed that little spark, it becomes bigger and bigger and bigger. And these illusions start to kind of fade away because we all have God in us. And I always thought it never made any sense to me, because in the Bible, it had this line that says, ask and you shall receive, seek and you shall find, ask it shall be given to you. And it's like, if I'm this horrible person, then how can unconditional love exist? God is unconditional love, and that's still what religion teaches. He, she, whatever, loves us all so much, but yet we do these things, but then we get punished. I'm like, that doesn't make any sense to me. God is punishing you. My dad used to say, if you forget about God, God will forget about you. And so I'm like, but that never made any sense to me. I'm like, this makes no sense. So it's all these things that we learn that are created by other people, by religions. And so I follow Master Kolat, and he says, spirituality unites, religion divides. And I kind of have to agree with that. So.
yeah. Or in AA, we would say that a religion is for people who are afraid of going to hell, and spirituality is for people who have been there.
Yeah, right. Yeah, and how much are we taught you have to do? How many religions teach that you have to do all these things or you're going to go to hell? Where is hell exactly?
Actually, I think it was invented in the New Testament. I don't think there's a reference to the Old. There's this guy named Morg. He's a very interesting character. He has live streams, and he'll do these drunk Bible readings. Well, he'll just be drinking wine, start reading through the Bible, and it's just a really interesting stream experience. But like the amount of violence and how many times God smites people and all these things, it's just like, wow, this is really interesting. I consider myself a recovering Lutheran, incidentally. I was raised Lutheran, and it took me, when I first found some of this material, I felt like this is going against everything I was taught, and it created like a lot of inner turmoil for me, and it took me a decade probably to move through that. And kudos to everybody who, because when sometimes we start talking about these topics, people drop off like, oh yeah, but one person right before I said that jumped out there like, well, I'm not going to let them acknowledge me for staying.
Here we go.
but
Here we go on the religion. So it's not our topic, but we got on it somehow.
No, because everybody has a point of view or an experience with it. Most people. Anya was not raised with any religion at all. She grew up in like the former East Germany, and there were a lot of just atheists. They didn't have any upbringing with religion, because to belong to a church in the former East Germany, you had to like they tithed out of your, I don't know how it worked, but it wasn't economically viable to be part of a religion at that point in time. It came back a little bit more when the wall came down, but she grew up basically with no religious upbringing at all.
Fascinating. That's not necessarily a bad thing, bad or good, right? But a lot of these not enoughness, not deservingness, these are things that are taught to us. These are boxes that have been taught to us. They're not existent. We create them. So yeah, the whole, it's impolite to ask for when somebody's trying to help you. No, because then you know this person wants something. You have to repay them. I can't repay them. Then just don't ask for the help. You're always being given help. Your prayers are always answered. We're just not in the vibration, like I said, we're not in the awareness that it's coming to you, because it could be right in front of you. It's often, I would say it's always right in front of you, but we miss it. We miss it very, very often. So it's awareness of where you're spending your time. And so when you worry about something and you pray about something, that you're reinforcing it. What I like to do in a lot of things when things are off, I say, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you that XYZ is now, fill it in, whatever your debt is paid, or whatever you want to talk about there. So you reinforce the thought, thank you, thank you, thank you. This has already happened. We are always in the now. And I try to create that versus money. this and this and this and this. And is it going to happen overnight? I don't know. Yes, it can. It depends on how much you're vibrating that, how much worry you have. It could be a week, it could be 2 weeks, it could be a month, but it will happen. It does happen. It happens to me every time. It's just what your vibration is. Are you in a high vibration, or are you in a worry vibration? Where is your thought pattern sitting? So that's the best advice I can give.
And a lot of times the speed at which something actualizes is directly related to how much you're willing to receive. And the receiving component sticks us way more than we think. It's something that I'm still dealing with, and a lot of people, and you don't even know what sticks you. It could be like a comment made when you were a kid, and it has rippled out, and it creates like these, what we call glass ceilings, or these invisible walls where you're consciously looking to manifest and actualize through something, but it's like you keep hitting this border or this boundary, and what that boundary is the belief that money corrupts absolutely, so I'm not willing to receive money because I'm going to turn into an a-hole or something like that, and that could have been something from you watching in a cartoon or anything like that. We're wide open sponges as kids, and we're still as a species not so aware when we're bringing up our kids, and we're letting them, myself included, they're watching some crap on television, then you got to try to unprogram it, but who knows what you get stuck with. But just the willingness to deep dive into it, you can start really exponentially changing things. And good morning. I think Shauna was tuning in, and someone saying, good morning, Dr. K and Hank. Some good points. Thank you. You're very welcome. Thanks for tuning in. And for people watching on the Holistic Health and Healing page and Dr. K's page, my link didn't go through for the Amazon book, so my apologies. But if you go over to the YouTube channel, it's there, or my personal profile, you can pick up the link if you wanted to check out that Communion with God book. But you guys are a quiet group for such a usually charged topic. So an invitation again, if you have any questions, we'd love to speak to them if you have it. Ooh,
how can we help you move through something?
Cat trying to kill a bird, but the bird got away.
This is Hank's world today.
Oh,
welcome, everyone.
It's fun though.
I'm trying to think of anything else that's coming up.
Good morning, Anna.
That would help. It's number one, really, really working on your awareness. And this may all feel very, I think the people that tune in here have an idea already, but if you're new here and you're like, this is really odd stuff, I never thought about this, it is so real. There are things in this world that are not tangible. The human mind likes tangible things. It likes to see something. Hey, this is working. We see it working. The things that are intangible in this world work just as much as the tangible things. So one of our topics will talk about beings of light and angels and all those things that are around that are there to help you. But we don't ask, and they can't help if you don't ask, or they're trying to help you. I always have this line to say, thank God God is patient, because us humans are really pains in the asses, really, sometimes. So,
good morning, Anne-Marie. Is Anne-Marie the anonymous Facebook user? There was when I was going through rehab, when I got sober, I went through a program called IOP. It's like intensive outpatient therapy. And there was one person in there that they had been praying or putting their attention on having patience. And everywhere they went, they were in the longest lines, and they were getting all these traffic jams and everything. And they had the awareness in the group that they had been praying for that, and they were being given opportunities to practice patience. So that's how the universe works. If you're praying for a trait or something and you feel that the opposite is showing up, what if that's your opportunity to have a different possibility by being present in the moment? Ooh, little thunderstorm. Being present in the moment and choosing something different rather than getting frustrated, like, oh wow, this is such a great opportunity to practice patience. As God is talking back to us. It's like, how dare you talk about all these things?
Sorry, right. Stop, drop, and roll. I mean, just remember that line. If you're finding yourself in a point where you're like, okay, guys, I'm going to practice this awareness thing. What do I do? Stop, drop, and roll. Just remember that. That's a thing they taught you in fire school, whatever, when I was little. So stop, drop for a second, drop down, and like, okay, I'm really frustrated right now, whatever the situation. I'm frustrated at my kids. I'm frustrated at my job. I take a deep breath, just a couple of really deep breaths, and then, hey, I really love my laptop. It's really working well today. I really love this cup of coffee. It tastes really good this morning. Spend 17 seconds thinking about something that you're grateful for, you really like. Thank God I got to work on time today. Thank God there was no traffic. The tiniest little things, tiniest thing can change your whole frequency. It's going to calm you down. It's going to bring you back to front and center, and you'll stop the patterns that are about to evolve. One simple example of this is how many times do you get up in the morning and maybe you get up late and you're running around and you're like, holy crap, I'm late for work. And then you get in your car and lo and behold, you get stuck behind grandma who's going 2 miles an hour, right? And then you're even more frustrated. And then you get to work and the door doesn't unlock or your key doesn't work to get in or something. This is how you've already started a pattern, and you want to pattern interrupt that, because that's why you got stuck behind grandma, because you're already frustrated this morning. I'm late. The universe is giving you more things to make you late. So the best thing is to just take that 30 seconds and just stop for a second, breathe, think of something, really calm yourself down, think of something in gratitude, so you can pattern interrupt that. That's my little tidbit.
And for all my smokers out there, tobacco in the Northern tradition is a prayer plant. It is an actualization plant. And so if you are a smoker, I would invite you, because I know that with that kind of stuff, you're not going to change usually, like to quit a habit and things until you're ready to. So rather than trying to quit, make it a spiritual experience. And instead of focusing on, because a lot of people when they smoke, they're focused on stress and like what's stressing them out. Mm-hmm. What if while you're smoking, you're focused on what would I like to actualize in my life, and connecting with the tobacco plant and using the plant to help actualize your dreams? Because that's what that plant actually is. And with everybody who smokes, like, what are you focused on, and what is that plant then helping you bring to you? So I'm throwing that out there because I know a couple smokers, and I know that they're not going to really shift where they're at with that. But what if they could shift the experience of the plant, and then maybe that would create a step to actually reduce it? But that would be a wonderful thing. And so in Peru, we would have a coca leaf that would do the same. It's like an actualization plant that you pray your prayers into it, and then as you chew it, you're internalizing it to actualize it and to focus your attention on all the things that you like to bring to yourself.
Yeah, because you can create and you can manifest anything in your world. I'm pretty darn good at manifesting most things. I'm not going to tell you guys what I'm not good at.
Yeah, well, Dr. K manifested she won 2 awards. We've said this before. She went to this bodybuilding competition. She worked on it for months. And like, this is a demonstration of you make a choice, you make a commitment, and you have your consistency. There's like 3 aspects to that. She made the choice, and everything that she did was aligned with the target of placing in this competition. And not only did she place for her age category, she placed like a second in the age category below her. So she beat out people that were younger than her. And so like, how potent is that? And you can actualize all those things. But she put what she was choosing to the universe. She was consistent with her actions and her thoughts and everything that she did. And if you were to apply that same formula to anything in your life, you could have very similar results to what Dr. K had with winning that bodybuilding competition.
It's a very simple formula, actually. And I do it before every show. And there's one show I screwed up on my Kent State show, which was 2 years ago. I asked the universe, hey, this is a really tough show. I know it's going to be a really tough competition. And if you could just give me second place, I'd be really happy. I placed 6th. So the universe is kind of like, okay, if you're not going to feel that you're worthy enough of a first place, if you don't put that energy forward, and there was some other things that happened that I see everything. I saw where everything got kind of wacky. But that's what I put forth. So why would I get more? So it's not just, actualizing thoughts. I'm just going to visualize it. You have to take some action. So whatever it is that you want, if you want a new job, please God, give me the new job. And you just sit at your couch and just it. No, start putting out some applications, start looking, start making some phone calls. You're putting that, and you need the co-creation, and you need that energy from you physically to start creating that. And then you'll get help. You will get help, and it will come. And then some people say, well, it's been a week, nothing's happened. Well, yeah. So, okay, you're stopping right there. Keep going, because consistent action yields consistent results. It will happen. It can't not happen. It's divine timing. Sometimes the universe has to move things around. I'm going through something right now that I wasn't really open to a year ago, but the time came now. The universe is like, do this now. And everything's lining up. Everything. I wasn't open to it before. I think some things had to move around and be ready for the most optimal thing. So don't get discouraged. Keep doing that for every show. I have a routine. I wake up in the morning, I wake up in the evening, or wake up in the evening. Yeah, I wake up in the evening, but that's usually how it is in my show. I'm like tired. But in the morning and the evening, I have a routine of I write down what I desire, I say it, I close my eyes, I spend at least 5 to 10 minutes visualizing it, saying it out loud. Thank you, thank you, thank you that I've won first place. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I look amazing. Picturing myself getting in that vibration and then doing the work. If I just did the diet or I didn't do anything and just visualize, those things likely would have had a tougher time manifesting.
No, you would have come back in the next lifetime into a bodybuilding family. That bodybuilding would have been your life, and you would have actualized it. See, in Neil Donald Walsh's book, Happier Than God, he talks about the mechanism of manifestation, and it is a 5-part process. One is like your statement of intent, the law of opposites, the opposite showing up, gift of discernment, wonder of imagination, and the last one was presence of cycles, that you have all of eternity to actualize it. So if you put something out there, if you half-ass your intention now, don't worry, you have eternity that the universe has to bring it to you. But if you can do your part, it can actualize it immediately. The problem, too, is that a lot of our choices and a lot of our creations are unconscious. And every 10 seconds, we're choosing something different, and we give the universe no consistency, as in a constant state of flux for what we were focused on in that moment to bring it to us. But now we moved on to another thing. So, like, really, what are you looking to focus on and actualize in your life, and laser focus on those things, whatever they are, and ask questions about, will this, what I'm going to choose, be a contribution to any of these? Then you can choose things just to have fun too. But what if every single choice you made, from the clothing that you bought to the food that you ate, was all in the question of, will this create what I'm looking to actualize in my life?
Yeah, and I'd recommend choosing 1 or 2 things to start, because sometimes we want all these different things, and you're like, yeah, I'm focusing on this, and I'm spending time here, and I'm spending time on this, and I'm focusing on. Choose one thing and then move on to the next step. And be also aware that sometimes things may show up, maybe not in the way that you expected them. Like, you want $10,000. Well, that $10,000 may come in a free car or free clothes or something you needed that would have cost you $10,000. And don't go, well, this really sucks. Some people are screw it. Just be grateful and say thanks, because I would have needed to spend $10,000 on a new water heater or whatever, and it came in a way that you saved. So energy runs in different ways. It's not always the way we want it. So just be grateful when it does show up. And if something doesn't work out, it's okay. All right, where did I stop? Where did I not do something that I needed to do for this co-creation? Where or what maybe needs to switch? It's like, okay, universe, God, what can I do differently to help manifest this? And you'll get the answers. Just be very aware. They will come. Sometimes we need to just switch things or do something different. Or where are you stopping in your way of thinking or doing or being or having, so that these things can get to you? So it gets a little tricky, the roads that lead to your result, whatever that may be, or thing that your circumstance that you desire.
And really on theme for everything we've talked about today, we did another stream called Congruent Manifestation a while back. I was looking for the graphic, but if you go to the YouTube channel, there's a link in the video description. I highly recommend that you take a look at that video, because a lot of what we talked about today, there's overlapping parallels and a lot more content in that stream as well. And a reminder, I just posted a link in the comments for the energy clinic. So if you guys don't know where to start, or you really want to get a jump start on the process of clearing out some of these things and getting some assistance in bringing things into your life, we, on the first and third Monday of every month, we do an energy clinic out of Emergence of Being, and we do it virtually and we do it in person. So no matter where you are in the world, if you wanted to have some assistance around things like this, you can join us there. And let's see. Anna is saying that she had a mentor tell me before that there is so much in the power of yes. I have done this in my career, and I have been able to do some awesome things. It takes courage, but sometimes, but it is so worth it. Absolutely. And also, so many times I see people get opportunities put right in front of them, but they can't seem to get out of their comfort zone to say yes. And there's a book, this is actually the next book reading I was planning to do that I've never done yet, called Right Riches for You, where they talk about people are sometimes more comfortable not having money than having money, or being in the thing that is a dysfunction because you know it. And one of the jobs of the ego is to keep you safe and to make sure you survive. And it would rather you pick a scenario that you have survived but were miserable in 100 times. Would rather you pick that again than pick something new, because the ego doesn't know what's going to happen in a new possibility. And it freaks out because it's like, we don't know if you'll survive this. What if you don't survive this? And it wants you to pick the old thing. So it's really like, well, ego, thank you for your input. I'm going to go do this anyway, because you don't want to get rid of the ego. The ego is really important, but the ego's job is to keep you safe. But you as the being, you can perceive into the infinite possibilities of what could be. The ego only knows past data. And so you use both in conjunction to make sure you choose possibility, but maybe you can use some of that past data, things pop up to avoid pitfalls and things like that. But it's really a combination of the two, but don't let the ego pick. You got to pick.
That is such an important point, Anna, and I've gotten through this. I'm sure a lot of us have gone through this, where you're on the edge and and here's a little secret. If you're really like if you have something in front of you and you want it, but you're really resisting it, like say it's a course or making a move, and you're like, this feels like I really should do this, but no, I'm not going to. And you feel all this resistance in your chest. That's usually something you probably really need to do if because it's the pull to do it, but the ego's pulling you back going, nope, no, that's too scary. You don't want to survive. Feel the fear and do it anyway. There's so many times where I've really taken a plunge. Like there's one thing I'm going through right now. I'm really taking a plunge on something, and I'm like, I don't know how this is going to work out. I really don't. But I'm having massive faith, and so far everything's lining up. So I know it's going to line up. So go for it, guys. Go for it.
Yes. And also fear is something that we're taught as children when parents are really protective of us and we're exploring the world, really excited to explore the world. But parents are like, we start to misidentify excitement with fear, which is where my little acronym comes in, feeling excited and ready. So like whenever you feel fearful, are you really being afraid? Or is it you being excited about a possibility that you're misidentifying as fear because of the way we've been taught from our parents? Not intentionally, but that's what the result is. Where like, oh, now don't be afraid, but you were really excited to go on a ride, but now you're associating that excitement with fear because of the parents' projection and their point of view about you have to be afraid to go on this ride, right? But don't be afraid. But because I said that, now you're afraid.
Yeah. It's these sneaky little things, that ego that pulls you back, and it's designed to keep you safe. And I think that's why a lot of us live this 8-to-5 job, and we don't go outside the box to do even what our soul desires part-time. Even if you start doing it part-time, if everybody lived their purpose, it would be an amazing world. And majority of us are not living our purpose. We're just doing the day-to-day routine because that's what we were taught. Provide for the family and then retire. And when you retire, guys, this is why I think a lot of illnesses start happening too, is that energy is not flowing anymore. It's like, I'm done. I'm not creating. I'm not co-creating in the world anymore. I'm done. And so the body gets into a bit of congestion and stagnation. And what we do at our energy clinics is, if you have a lot of congested energy, it sits in your field. And so what we do is we clean that out so that good things can come to you faster. Because when you have a lot of poop sitting around, past stuff that's just been very frustrating, demeaning, all this stuff that's gone on in your world, and you're trying to get past it, but you're having a tough time. Clearing that out will get things to you faster.
Absolutely. Final call for questions and comments if you have any. And what do you have planned, Dr. K, today out in Florida, where it's all probably, but actually you might have rain too now.
If the sun's out, it rained kind of all day yesterday, but sitting by the ocean and getting in the ocean, because salt, you know why everybody's so happy here or calmer? Because all that salt in the ocean actually cleans the negative energy. So people.
Yeah, that is huge. Like in Germany, like at some of the rehab clinics, they actually have these big saltwater fountains outside, and they'll take the patients out and they'll be walking around this thing because they know that the salt, even breathing in the salt water, has huge therapeutic benefits on the body. So like they're onto something. And the neat thing over there, I don't know if you do, they're medical doctors there, they have the options to do electives like aromatherapy. And so they learn all about the essential oils. It's like, whoa, where did we go wrong here?
We're not doing it here.
Yeah, but
Move
that
to
is
Europe, kids.
yeah. Yeah, we will have to have a whole separate stream for that one. But next week, we do plan to do the light team, your guides, your angels, using your light team for creation. So set your reminders for next Friday at 10. That will be our topic that we're going to dive into. And then we'll let everybody know about the book, Communion with God, if we're going to do that. Or we're definitely going to do it. It's just a matter of how we're going to do that. And let's see, was there anything else? Today, I'm not sure if I'm streaming for Stir Crazy Shamans or not, because Casey can't be there, but I have somebody else that might be on. So I'm going to talk with them. So we may still be doing the stream here in 15 minutes for Stir Crazy Shamans. And then at 12:30, I will be on with Heather McMillan doing, can you create more change in the world with or without money? So it's all about helping to reframe our mindset around money to receive more. Because if you are watching the stream, chances are you're one of the seekers of the world, and you know that you have a gift to offer. And if you were to be able to offer that gift, would you be able to change more in the world with or without money? And so it's about kind of using that energy of, wow, this is a tool of which if I had more of, I could create more change and more possibility in the world. So we're going to be doing that at 12:30. And then, of course, first and third Monday, Energy Clinic at Emergence of Being. I posted the link, so you can check that out. There's a cool picture. Me and Dr. K. So we have you in the office. In fact, we've been using my office recently because I had the awareness, like, why am I lugging crystal bowls over from one room to the other when we could just do it in my room? So it only took me about a year to figure that out.
It's okay. But you have a private room, and you're not laying on a bed. We're not like scoping you out. It's all calm, and you just sit. That's all you have to do.
Yeah, sit and receive. That's the real beauty.
Sit and receive.
Any healing session, whether it's with us or if you go for a Reiki session or a massage session, or a bar session especially, you're teaching the body to receive, and the body being able to receive is a huge part of you, the being being able to receive. So make sure you let your body get nurtured, because sometimes we forget about that, and especially with COVID and social distancing, we're like, don't touch me, but bodies like to be nurtured and touched and all that. And even if it's Reiki or something else, or getting your bars run, it's so important. And that is like an integral part to teach you how to receive, so that when the pizza guy comes with the pizza you ordered, you open the door and receive it.
Exactly.
So, yeah. But anyway, thank you everybody for tuning in.
Thanks,
this is so much fun, and we will catch you again next Friday, same time, same channel. And please don't forget to subscribe. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you for joining us today for the show. Holistic Health and Healing is part of the Emergence of Being Contributor Network. Visit us at emergenceofbeing.com for all of our contributors' content and to learn about our services and upcoming events. Please take a moment to subscribe to the channel. You can contribute to the show by supporting our efforts and sharing our content with those you care about and those who need it most.